Hello everyone and welcome back to the Atari Vault. Today we're going to be playing video chess. Much like real chess, I'm going to get my ass kicked here. We are going to do a full game, so this video episode might be a little longer than usual. But probably not by much because I'm probably going to be whipped pretty handily. I expect the controls are going to be very similar to the video checkers, where we're going to have to move the cursor around and select the appropriate area for our move. Okay, interesting design for the pieces. If you guys have never played chess before, I'd highly recommend that you go look at the Wikipedia page briefly to just see what the piece moves can be. You kind of get a basic idea from this, but I mean, it's not a simple game at all. I've never played chess competitively. I've only played it recreationally, so you know I'm going to be bad at it. Looks like you can castle pretty easily, so that's good. I usually castle. There is an argument to be made for never castling, but I suppose it totally depends on the situation. En passant, I can never seem to do properly. And I've had it explained to me so many times, but it never totally makes sense to me why two pawns that are next to each other can somehow take each other out. And I've never been able to pull it off in a video game. I played Battle Chess for years. If you had never played Battle Chess, I highly recommend it. Although I guess it's hard to tell if it's actually going to be able to work on any current systems. But if it does, should be videos of it somewhere. I highly recommend looking at those. But I've never been able to pull off the en passant in Battle Chess either. It's an interesting idea, I've just never successfully done it. So maybe that'll be the new thing here. So 7 progressively more difficult mode. So yeah, the longer the computer thinks about the move. We're going to keep it on level 1. Chances are we're still going to get creamed. But, you know, life is a learning experience. And if you don't learn from life, what the hell are you doing? Okay, so this is the worst bitrate ever. I'm going to have to adjust my eyes because, oh my god. But okay. So we're probably at the bottom here. So the difference between the black and the white pieces is minimal, to say the least. So this is going to be interesting later game when we're in the middle. But I guess, you know, the pieces we can't move are the enemy pieces. So, okay, what I normally do is I go ahead and I grab one of the knight or the bishop pawns and move it forward. There's an argument to be made for getting the pawn out of the queen's way or out of one of the rook's ways. The knight obviously doesn't have anything in its way right now. It can just move. And you know what? I think we're actually going to do that first. We're going to actually move the knight up and over here, which is where he belongs. And commit. There we go. And so then he moved his pawn up. All right, that is totally fair. I can't do anything with the pawn with the knight, so we're just going to leave that be. So now I'm going to move over here. I'm going to move my pawn. We can move the pawn up 2. But I think what we're going to do is only move it up 1 if we move this one over here. But I think instead we're going to move the one next to the... Well, actually, this will free up the bishop here. So why don't we do that? We'll free up the bishop to at least move that way, and then commit. There we go. Committing the move totally makes sense. Every once in a while, you want to take it back. All right, so he got his knight out of the way. We're not going to be able to hurt each other now, but in like we can hurt each other from like 2 moves. Let's move the bishop out. Let's actually threaten his knight and make him move the knight. Yeah, that should do it. There we go. Commit. And he did not move his knight because he knows that if I take his knight, then one of his pawns can actually take my bishop. So he's actually protected there, and he knows it. All right, good enough. So what are we going to do instead? Well, we can continue to feint this way, but I don't think it's going to work. So how about this? We'll move this pawn up by 1. That should at least free up our other bishop to move. Or we could move the knight. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna move the knight over. No, not you. Are you serious? It's being weird for me right now. I guess I committed to moving the piece. Come on. Apparently I committed to moving the piece. That's kind of dumb. But alright. That would be bad, right? Yeah, I don't see any benefit to moving the pawn there. So we'll move the pawn here. And commit. It's not quite what I wanted to do, but it works. So thought about it for a bit. Decided to line up its pawns a little bit. Now, here's an interesting idea. I could take the pawn with my knight. However, doing so will open up possibility for him to be taken by the queen, and our queen currently is blocked. So I think what we need to do instead is prep for a move like that by moving this pawn up, and then we can move the other pawn up and free up the queen a little bit, but we'll see. Okay, the other knight came out to protect the pawn. Makes sense. Not just to protect the pawn, but, you know, do other things. Theoretically, it'll also threaten this pawn here. That could be bad. Yeah, we can't do anything to protect that pawn. The only thing we can do is moving one of these pieces up. Kind of forfeits the idea of castling, but I don't think we're going to have much of a choice here. Yeah, let's move this pawn up. That'll protect the pawns, so at least we don't get the first one to get a piece taken. Calculating, and it moved up one of its bishops. Okay, that's actually pretty fair. That protects one of the other pawns. I don't think either one of us knows what the hell we're doing, but, you know, we can pretend. We can pretend we know what we're doing. What else do we do here? One of us is going to have to take a piece sometime. Now, the fortunate thing here is that by moving his bishop up, he's actually blocked the path to protect that pawn. That might have been an error, or it might have been on purpose. Now, you also got to notice that the knight is, his right knight is actually well able to protect that pawn, which is why he moved the bishop up, because he wanted to get the bishop out of there, which is totally fair. Can I do anything to take out that bishop? Not from here, but what I could do is threaten it. Threaten the bishop there by moving the knight and move him up here. That'll threaten the bishop. Knight won't be able to get to me. Pawns are totally... Yeah, I'm totally safe from the pawns. So yeah, do it. Commit. Well, okay, he castled. That's a fair tactic. Means I have to get through a lot more pieces to be able to get anywhere. Now again, if I take out the bishop, I'm going to be eaten by the queen. I'm not willing to sacrifice the knight yet. So we're not quite to that stage, but, you know, I appreciate that it's a possibility. So what we can do here, the pawns are going to die. It's going to happen. And we have to get used to the idea. What we do here is we move the bishop up this way. And then with that done, we can move a pawn up and see if we can get somebody. I don't know if it's going to work, but it could. Okay, so there's the other bishop that moved out. Don't see a real benefit there, but okay. The queen still hasn't moved, though. She's still performing her function of being in the way, really. Alright, so move this guy up one. Now, if we lose a pawn, we lose a pawn. I'm not too worried about that. I mean, one less pawn is one less piece, and that's bad, but we can still make this work. A lot of calculations going on there. Okay, he totally took my pawn. That is a fair take. What am I going to do about it? That's a good question. So the pawn could theoretically do en passant. Since I'm not sure how it works, I'm pretty sure it could happen. But yeah, I'm not sure how it works, so... Let's see. So I'm going to take his pawn. I'm going to do it. Can't stop me. Can't stop, won't stop. The bishop's going to move in. Yep, bishop moved in. Okay. That is fair. And I can't stop him at all. So that's totally fair. I need to move my knight. Otherwise, my king's going to be in trouble here. Actually, what I can do... Do something a little weird. Now that this bishop is slightly out of position, might be able to take advantage of that somehow. Because he's not going to come close to my king. If I move this guy up, though, might be able to take another pawn or force him to take one. He did take it. And so that means the other bishop's going to come in and try to grab that. But if I move... Yeah, hold up. No. I didn't want to move the... No, there we go. There we go. We did it. Move the rook over here. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but I did it. Bishop takes... No, pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes other pawn. Go ahead, take it. Bishop comes in and gets eaten by rook. I don't think that's going to happen. No, it didn't. But the rook came out just by one to protect its bishop. That's got to be why I did it. Now, unfortunately, this means that our king's going to be in check pretty soon. Because all the bishop has to do is move one spot, and then our king is in danger. So that can't happen. When that happens, you need to move your stuff around. Otherwise, bad shit goes down. So, what do we do to protect it? I guess what we do is we go ahead and move this guy in front of the king. So at least he can't be eaten by the by the rook. Like I said, I know we're gonna get our ass kicked here. I might be making some pretty dumb mistakes. That's interesting. Okay, so we moved the bishop there, theoretically in preparation to take my bishop, but what he wants to do is to tempt me to take it with my bishop. And the idea there, but then he takes it with my knight. That's an interesting idea. Could it work? Maybe. Maybe. But I think instead... Because right now his bishop on the blue square is in danger from my knight. Now I can't move my knight, though. If I move my knight, my king's in danger. That can't happen. So... the knight actually has to stay where he is. How about the other knight? The other knight can take a pawn, or he can move close to the queen. That'd be suicide. There's no reason to do that. Yeah, basically, that knight on the left is stuck on the left until something happens to that queen. Huh. The thing is, if I don't move my bishop, the bishop's gone. I think I should move my bishop back to position, or at least one step over. And then maybe move it... Yeah, one step down and then over. If I do that, what happens? The rook probably takes it. Because I can't stop it at that point. Rook takes bishop, but then the rook will be out of position. Can I do anything to stop that? Maybe. Not this turn, though. If I move the pawn over, I might be able to protect my bishop. But it seems pretty unlikely at this stage that we're actually going to make this out of here. Alright, let's commit. Oh, yep. Okay. So the rook took the knight. That's totally fair. All we have to do now... Well, so the queen can take the rook. If the queen takes the rook, then the bishop takes the queen. Yeah, that's what happens. Bishop takes queen. King could take the bishop, but sacrificing a bishop for a queen is a easy call. I would make that call, no question. That's easy. So I think instead what we do, we can't do en passant here, because that'd be nice, but we can't. I don't think. Nope. Invalid. Doesn't let us take it. Okay. The simple move here is to castle. That's weird. It doesn't let me do it. Could have sworn we could castle over here. The rook's still here. Should be able to castle. Huh. We haven't touched our king yet. I could have sworn the rule was if the king and the rook haven't moved, you can totally castle. Well, that's very strange. So if I move my king... No, I can't move my king up. I can't do it. The only thing I can do right now, the only thing it'll let me do, that's a good idea anyway, is to move my king over here. Yeah, that's the only thing I can do right now. The rook probably going to move back up, or is he going to stay there? Okay, the rook moved over 2. It's interesting. He could continue to keep me in check, but he chose not to. That is interesting. What does that get him? If I stay here... I'm not sure what happens. Well... So my queen's in danger right now. If I move my queen up to take that bishop, knight takes queen. Easy, no problem. If I don't, though, bishop takes queen. If I move my queen up and to the left, that puts her well out of position. But theoretically, we could take the pawn. I don't know. Let's try it. Move you over here. Already having a check against us is not a good call. Means we've done something horribly wrong in our strategy this early in the game. Okay. Rook against rook. Theoretically could be bad. Especially with the knight, with the king being so far away. Means the rook's in definite danger. I think the simplest thing is to move the king over this way. And that theoretically protects the rook. It might not, though. He might decide to take it anyway. If he loses a rook, he doesn't really care. Okay, he moved the rook back. Well, that's just peculiar. So I think what we do is we protect the line by moving the bishop up this way. That way the other rook can also protect the king without too much hassle. Maybe. Okay, pawn moved down. Not sure why, but it did. Alright, well, if we're going to sacrifice the queen, let's do it in the most awesome way possible. It's going to have to happen anyway, because I'm bad. Normally, a good player would not be sacrificing the queen in this way. I am not a good player. If you want to see high-level chess play, you've come to the wrong channel. I'm sorry. But I want to do this. It's only going to put the king in check. The king can do one or two things. He can either take our queen, which would be the smart move, and actually we don't have a way to back this up, do we? We don't. Okay, not having a way to back up your move is actually bad. The only reason why we want to do this is to make the king move. I guess we could do that the simple way by putting the queen here. That just makes her get taken out by a pawn. That's not ideal. Not ideal at all. Could move the queen to threaten one of the knights. However, any position she'd be in to threaten the knights also puts her in a vulnerable position. Yeah, it does. The only thing that kind of sort of works is if she takes this pawn. If she takes this pawn, that starts clearing the board a little bit. I think that's a safe move. Commit. What do we got? Okay. The rook's moving around like he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. But don't be fooled. I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing. Oh, he took our... Yeah, he took our bishop. He totally took our bishop, didn't he? No? No, he didn't. No, our bishop was already gone. Our other bishop's on the left there. I wish they told you what the hell he took. There's plenty of room on the screen. Why don't you tell me what you're doing? I mean, our king's not in a good spot. I can tell you that straight up. Our king's definitely not in a good spot. But he's not in a horrible spot right now, either. Okay, so the queen's blocking off one path to his king. We need to be able to clear the board a little bit, though. Well, we can open up another path to the king by taking that pawn. What happens when we take that pawn? We get taken out by a bishop. Yeah, that's true, huh? Can move the bishop down to take out the rook next turn, or take out a bishop. But that means he's got to choose. I want to force him to choose. Might not be a great choice, and I might be missing something else. Okay, the queen came out to say hello. Hello, queen. Okay, so now we've got an interesting choice here, because the queen came out to play. Anytime you can force a queen move, that's usually good. But now we're in a tough spot, right? Because because the way they've set this up is that if I take out the queen, they take out my queen. If I don't take out the queen, though, then she's likely going to take out my knight. What I need to do is move into a better position, but I don't have a better position right now. I don't have a bishop that can hold her. I don't have a rook that can hold her. And my knight is out of position to be able to hold her. I could move my queen. Well, I need to move my queen, right? Do I? Yeah, I think I do. I think I do need to move my queen. So I can take out... So the queen's dead, right? The queen's gonna die. Do we sacrifice the queen to take out the other queen? Taking out one of their most powerful pieces is not nothing. It's going to be taken out by the rook next turn. That's going to happen. That'll suck, but it might be acceptable losses. We're already a little bit shy on number of pieces here. This is going to be a tough game, so let's just take out the queen. Let's do it. Take it out. You're mine now. Okay, so the rook takes us. Takes the queen out. That's expected. Okay. It's expected, but unfortunately we couldn't do anything about it. That's what really sucks. So But with the queen off the board, now we can free up a little bit of room here to do some other stuff that we wouldn't be able to do normally. Like move this guy up a little bit. And assume that's going to take the rook out to play. That's what I would do. Threaten. Oh, the bishop. I totally forgot. I didn't even see the bishop there. I totally fucked that up. Totally fucked that up. All right, but that at least lets us move this over. I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. The world's a vampire. I don't know how that's relevant necessarily, but yeah, commit. Do it. Do it. Do it. Then the pawn's going to take the bishop, I think, because I just realized the pawn was still there. No. The rook took the bishop. Oh. Okay. I didn't think the rook was there, actually, but alright. Now we're fucked, right? Because we have a pawn and 2 rooks. Yeah, I think this counts as being fucked. And that's the only valid move there. So then the bishop does what? Okay, yeah, I thought so. Bishop moves in. The only thing we can do is move the king. That's the only valid move right now. But all that does is make it so that that's easy for somebody else to pick off, but I don't know where. The real thing is that in order to get checkmate, you really need to have all other avenues cut off. So they're going to gradually start cutting off the avenues here. So now we can't move anywhere in this direction. Yeah, anywhere along that line anyway. We could theoretically get close, but we can't except this because this line's blocked off by the rook, so we can't actually move that way. So all we can do is move up, maybe? That'll at least theoretically threaten the bishop. Don't know what else it'll do. So the bishop's probably going to move. It might not. They might not care. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the other rook is definitely threatening our king. So that's a problem. It's going to be a long, slow death. It's usually how my matches go, is I have a long, slow death until the end of the world. The rook's probably just going to move one step over to the left and threaten me again. Oh, no, the bishop moved. Okay. We could theoretically move the rook over here, and that would stop the bishop from doing anything silly. But then the rook will probably just take it. Maybe? He might just take it. He did not take it. He moved his bishop instead, which totally makes sense. But then we have a problem with where does the king go? King has to go over to the left. If the king goes to the left, though, then the bishops have their way with him. So I think instead we move the rook up here. That blocks them. They could just take out the rook, though. That's what I would do. Basically, when you're in your death throes, there's not much else you can do. Yep, the rook took it. That makes total sense. But the king actually can't take the rook right now. That's an illegal move. So all he can do is keep moving this way. And I think that's a valid move. It'll let me do it, so that's something. But having to calculate all the possible valid moves is something. Alright, yeah, then the knight took the pawn. At this point, though, I think this counts as a conceded match. There's no reason to continue. Yeah, he's constantly in check. Moving here is the only valid move, but then all I have to do is move a rook over, and they've got me trapped. And I think that's it, right? The computer's calculating all possible moves, but yeah, that's it. We totally got checked and mated. So there we go. That's chess on the arcade version. I am horrible at this game, but I know that already, and the game is just flashing in trying to calculate how else to move to get me to actual checkmate, but any human component would already know that this is a foregone conclusion. So Great. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Video Chess in the Atari Vault. I'm PC Universe, your PC Universe 2, and I'll see you guys next time.